In this video, I'm going to talk about the web identity search tool WIST, which is a premium program that you have to sign up for, and it's only available for law enforcement and private investigators. What this tool does, among other things, I'm talking specifically about Facebook here though, is it helps you to bring out the entire list of friends. If the friends are private, it helps you dig that information out. If it also helps you download all the photographs if you want as JPEGs, and it also will print out or list the timeline in great detail, including everybody who liked something, everybody who commented, what their comments were, and at what time and date they commented or liked something. So it could be important depending on what type of investigation you're doing. It also will help compare two subjects together and look at their mutual friends, and go beyond that to look at their mutual friends' friends. How does it get the private friends information? Well, you could do it yourself manually. Look at the timeline. If somebody's name is hyperlinked in a comment, that's likely a friend, and that'll link to a Facebook profile. You also look at the people that liked it. Those are more than likely friends of the subject that you're investigating, so you record all that information. This program does it for you. And anybody that commented is likely a friend, so it records all of that. So it gets all that information, gets that profile information for each one of those persons, and it records it, and it saves it for you, and it can save you a great deal of time by the automation that this has. Here's an example of it in use. This is the screen. I'm selecting the person that I want to investigate, and I'm going to unlock friends, which costs money. And once I commit to that, it will start the process of stripping out my private friends and their profile information. And there it goes. Of course, it's blurred out just for privacy purposes, but it's extracting the profile information of all these individuals, and it will put it in spreadsheet format and also PDF format. And in the spreadsheet format, I'll show you the information it'll collect, and you can search on that. It's really quite handy to search using the find function. In the spreadsheet, it'll have name, the URL, about the person, comments, work and education, places the person's lived, contact and basic information, family relationship, and details about that individual, and life events. So if the person entered that information in their profile, it will then end up in your spreadsheet. Of course, this is blurred out for privacy purposes, but here's a look at what it looks like when you put it in PDF format. Blurred it again, but very nice printout, easy to read, and you can do OCR so you can search through it. And now I'm going to extract the timeline, so I get all the detail of the timeline. So extract timeline, again, that's cost me another credit. I want the whole timeline, so I'll hit OK. And so it goes through the process of extracting the timeline. And then once it's done that, you have to save it. And you can save it again in PDF format. I save it in PDF format as my favorite way to do it, because then I do optical character recognition, and I can search through and then look for keywords that might be of interest in my investigation. Here it is in spreadsheet format, and now here it is in PDF format. It's very detailed. Anytime somebody hits like, it records their ID, their Facebook ID, it records the date and time that they liked something. Anytime somebody commented or responded to comments, it also records that information. So that could be very useful in an investigation. So how do you use this? How can it be used? Here's a simple example. It's a homicide investigation, a fictional one, where a man named Jeff Danielson was found shot in the chest and dead on a Wednesday morning by his co-workers in the office. He was working late on Tuesday night by himself. His wife, Ginger, has a rock-solid alibi. She was out of state at a business meeting, and they really had no good leads. The police had no good leads to go on, so they start with having the analyst put together a list of people they know, contacts, and they do that by going to their Facebook accounts and building a network from that. So what they're going to do is they're going to use WIST to go into Facebook, scrape out the data, and then dump that information into an Excel spreadsheet that they can then import into IBM i2 Analyst Notebook. The analysts decided that they're going to put Ginger, as you see there in the upper right, as subject 1 and Jeff as subject 2. With the way that WIST works, it'll pull all of Ginger's friends out and include it into the data, but it will only pull the mutual friends that Jeff and Ginger have mutually out of Jeff's. You can get Jeff's full if you want to pay for an extra token. And then you do a mutual full search there. You use that selection. And here's an example of how that works. Ginger number 1 subject on the left side there, and Jeff number 2. It first goes and pulls all of Ginger's friends out. Then next it'll go in and get the mutual friends from Jeff and Ginger. So the mutual friends there. And then what it'll do is it'll go after all of the mutual friends' friends. So people that Ginger may not even know or Jeff know will, and I really should say we don't know if they know him, but they are not a Facebook friend. So the issue is they are not a Facebook friend directly to them, but you can find how they could be linked through other people, and that's the whole point of this. Here's an example of WIST actually working, except of course I got it blurred out. Comparing two people and their mutual friends, it'll come up with 60 mutual friend matches, and then with all of the mutual friends, it ends up with over 21,000 links, which through using Analyst Notebook and importing it into Analyst Notebook, I have this graph of the connections involved in this network. Each dot represents a person and has the link and hyperlinked for that person. One of the things investigators did was they looked at activity logs from Central Dispatch of anything unusual that occurred or anything that occurred, traffic stops, whatnot, in the area of the homicide on that night. And they found that a business owner called in to complain about a pickup truck parked in his lot that had no business being there. And he gave the dispatcher the license number, but nobody was sent out to check on it because they were busy with more important calls. But they ran the plate because of the homicide later, and it came back to a Marcus Wetherington. Investigators noted that Wetherington was from about 2 hours away from the location as where he lived, and they had no known connection with him and Danielson, but they decided to look at the graph and see if his name came up. And so in Analyst Notebook, you go to the search function and they typed in Marcus Wetherington. And searching through 21,000 links, they found a hit. Now, they want to see if there's any link between Marcus Wetherington and Jeff Danielson. So what they do is they go to a function called the network function, find network. They add Marcus Wetherington's name into that, and now they'll type Jeff Danielson's name in, and they'll add that to the network search. And then what the program does, it goes through all of the links and sees how they could be connected. So now we're going to add Jeff Danielson to it. Okay, so they've got it, found his name. They're adding it to the network, and now they're going to search for the network that would connect those two together to see how they could be connected. And what we find is that there's a Ginger's name comes up, a Martin Phillips comes up, and of course Jeff Danielson. There's Jeff on the bottom. There's Ginger. Of course, Jeff knows his wife. Ginger knows Phillips, and Phillips knows Marcus Wetherington. So that obviously would be of great interest to investigators to find out what's the deal between Phillips and Ginger, and who is this Marcus Wetherington guy. If the wife's involved, she could have had Phillips arranged to get a hitman to come in to take her husband out. And with the I2 Notebook, you can also unselect all the dots that were not selected, so you can get a better view of the actual connections. In this example, this is an actual case. I've changed the name to protect the innocent, but in 2006, a subject was convicted of criminal sexual conduct on his stepdaughter and was in prison. The attorney that I worked for later came up with information that could exonerate him. And one of the things that we needed to do was track down a potential witness. During the court hearings, we found in the transcripts that she had a close friend named Aline who we believe might be able to help with our case, but we didn't know what Aline's last name was and could not locate her at this time, 8 years later. So what we did, or what I did, was I used WIST. I found another friend of hers from those days. It wasn't a close friend, but it was another friend. And I then had WISC bring up their mutual friends and then their mutual friends' friends to build a network to see if we could find an Aline that might be the subject we're looking for. So once I had this graph up like this, and then I searched, there was no Aline in her own Facebook, as I might have already mentioned, but so I'm looking to see if she has a connection to anyone named Aline. So Aline's in there. And I find one, so I'm going to build a connecting network. Add selected. Okay, Aline McMaster. And now I'm going to put in the alleged victim's name. And see if how they might be connected. And I find actually that she's connected to her two different ways. So there's two different ways she's connected to her, through this individual here and through this individual, Sandra Smith Johnson, and a Sheila Murray. That's Aline there, and that's our victim, Shelley Hopkins. Hide the unselected, make it more obvious. So there's the ways that she's connected. After doing more research, finding out where Aline had lived in prior years, actually identifying her father and finding out where he had lived, I was able to identify that they lived very close to our victim, and this was in fact the person we were looking for. So if you're interested in finding out more, go to hamari.com and then go to the WISC part, and it'll explain to you that WISC finds connections up to 3 degrees of separation for any Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn user. I didn't go over those because I haven't been using it for that. It's a pay-as-you-go. You can unlock friends and private friends list, and one click, complete timeline extraction and export match results into Excel or HTML with one click. And also you can do it in PDF. But here's the part that isn't so great, is the cost. If you buy 5 credits, that means 5 searches, you're paying almost $40 per search. That's a lot. And if you can purchase 50 for 700 and some odd dollars there, the price comes down to $15 per search. So you wouldn't want to use this willy-nilly. You only want to use this in important investigations where it's really the only way that you're going to get the information you need. There is no cost for using the program itself. It's just a cost for every search. So it's you don't pay for the software, but you do pay per search. And if you're interested in IBM Analyst Notebook, go to the IBM website and you can research that. But I am going to do more with IBM Analyst Notebook in future videos in conjunction with some more premium software.